We've got a prayer ministry around the world. One of the questions that comes in, and we're going to dedicate the second half of our program in a little bit to questions that you are sending in, but a very common question is, your prayer life seems so powerful and effective, and folks are wondering, what do you have that's different than the average person? I was talking to Karen last night, and I said, I think after a person has seen the power of the devil, it's so easy to believe in the reality of God, and you know that it's real. And in the same way, you cannot be a real Christian without, to some extent, believing in the existence of the devil. And there's a spiritual battle that's raging, and you're aware of that. And so when you pray, you know there's someone listening. Right. And faith is one of the most important elements.
Yeah. I was in terrible need of the blessing of God in my life, because I knew that, I had powerful enemies that were after me to destroy me. So my relationship with Christ every day, when I first opened my eyes, was to raise my mind to the Holy of Holies of the heavenly sanctuary and take 4 or 5 minutes and tell the Lord Jesus how happy I was that I'm alive. And I've been doing this for 51 years. And my relationship with Christ has grown because of the fact that He blessed my life in so many little ways, and that's what amazed me most, you see. We know that God can make great miracles, but for God to make a lot of little miracles right along to keep you alive and to enable you to keep the biblical habit of creation.
Now, I'm going to bring you back to one of those great miracles you touched on. When you were in the ICU, the intensive care unit, with your heart problem, you prayed for everybody on that floor, and one man in particular had an unusual answer to prayer, Mr. Smith. Why don't you tell us about that answer to prayer real quick?
Okay. I was brought in there, like I said before, Sabbath morning, 10 o'clock. I was very, very low. After they had all, wired me up and did whatever needed to be done. And then they told me that my wife could see me only 10 minutes every 2 hours. I said, that helps me a lot, So, great deal. So anyway, that Sunday evening, I was still alive, and I saw there was 14 glass tin units, rooms, with people in there, was filled right up. And because of great emergencies, there was 3 beds right next to the nurse's station, and I wasn't one of those. And I could hear what was going on between the nurses talking. And the head nurse says, I think I'm going to have to call for more help. The people were getting into crisis situations. An elderly man, about 80 years old, next to me, they had to have 2 nurses to keep him from choking up and dying. The nurse said to the young nurse, we got to do it. That's what we're here for. And the young nurse, they had to try to keep him breathing. So cut a long story short, but I see all of these people here, and all of a sudden, the thought entered my mind that in 1946, the high priest had said that Satan and his angels love to see people die, to see humans die. And especially in times of war, and when they have great battles and a lot of people die, they have a celebration over it. And those words came back to my mind like if it were yesterday, you see. And I said to myself, there's a lot of people who are not going to make it tonight. And I raised my mind to the Lord, because when I talk, I just a little bit above a whisper, I was that low in strength. And as a matter of fact, to turn my head on my pillow, I had to make a concentrated effort just to be able to look at the monitor. That was going 228 times a minute, between 200 and 228. And I started to pray. I said, Lord Jesus, it's a sad, sad thing to see these people here in this land of the enemy. And, we're all going to go to a grave sooner or later. But I believe there's a lot of people who are not going to make it here tonight. And I'm afraid that they're not prepared to raise in the first resurrection. And because of the fact that you've already paid the sacrifice for their salvation, and that the medicine of your sacred divine blood is available to be appropriated to them. And in my asking for special help, see, that's what's beautiful about being intercessor in this land of the enemy. The super plane between the rules of engagement of the warfare are such. I get it to understand from what the Spiritist priest had said and from what I read in the Bible and writings of Ellen White, that God depends on us tremendously to ask for help for others beside ourselves. Because when we do this, then the Spirit of God and His angels can move into Satan's domain and legally take care of a lot of bad situations. But if we don't ask for this help for ourselves or for others, Satan and his angels says, hey, you have no business being here, get back there.
Right.
You're ours, you know. So, and as I was praying that the Lord would make these people better and get them out of here, if it wasn't going to be, within a few days, to get them out of this hospital and give them a second chance, to be able to draw nigh to them. And I said, Lord, I don't know these people's name, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to pray that you will every day. I'm going to pray that their sins and iniquities be forgiven them, and that you would appropriate to them the medicine of your sacred blood shed on Calvary for their salvation. And Lord, I promise I'm going to be doing this for a long time. And I said, you give them a chance, give them another chance. And things blew up wild. It went wild. It went terrible. More people were having distresses and perplexities and difficulties. And then the nurse got over the loudspeaker and says, I need more nurses, come and help. And all of a sudden, a man in Unit 9 by the name of Mr. Smith, his heart stopped. And when the heart stops, something takes place there at the nurse's station. Either it's a buzzer or a light. I don't remember what it was. But anyway, the nurse said to all doctors, please come and help. And she gave some kind of a code.
Code blue. At least here it is.
Yeah. So anyway, the three doctors came rushing in right into the door was set so that the Unit 9 was right in front of the door. They came right through there, ran in there. They had the resuscitator at the other end of the unit. The nurse had ran to get the thing. They worked on this man for about 10 minutes. And one doctor came out and he says, he's gone. You'll never bring him back. And what happened, I said to the Lord, dear Jesus, before I die, I would very much appreciate that you would let me see the power of your resurrection at work by causing the heart of Mr. Smith to be started up again. And Lord, that you make it well and that he be able to live a number of years, because Mrs. Smith cries all the time. Hilda was in that little waiting room, and Mrs. Smith was there also, and she had told him, she said, my wife said that I have a praying husband, and she said, could you have your husband pray for my husband? So I said to the Lord, please, let me see the power of your resurrection. Immediately a shout went out. There was 3 nurses in there in that room, 2 doctors, and then Mrs. Smith told me 4 days later, when I talked to her and her husband on the cardiac floor, that the nurse had just pulled a sheet over her husband's head when he sat up in bed. He sat up in bed, and the women, even Mrs. Smith, she said, I couldn't help it, and just whatever she did, So anyway, that he said, what are you, all you people doing here? Well, the doctor said, well, you were having a little trouble with your heart. We were trying to help you. Oh, he said, I have no problem with my heart. He says, my heart is good, but I need some food. I haven't eaten here in 3 days. And Mrs. Smith, I told Hilda that her husband had decided he wanted to die. So he hadn't eaten for 3 days and not even drank, Didn't even drink for 3 days. He wanted to die because he had enough of this business with the heart, So he lived 5 years after that.
And I understand he became a Christian after that, is that right?
Oh yeah, and from what I gather, yeah. And their daughter, from my gather, read my book, A Tribute to the Supernatural.
So we still see resurrections, don't we?
Oh yeah.
God does that.
Yeah.
Now, what is a lot of people here may want to know, what is your favorite passage in the Bible? Do you have a favorite?